A skeptic would call these quatrains obscure and irrelevant. And was Nostradamus genuinely foreseeing a swastika when he wrote the following?
The great pontiff, by the warlike party, who will subjugate the borders of the Danube. The cross, pursued by hook or crook. Captives, gold, jewels, more than 100,000 rubies.
And are even the references by name to Napoleon and Hitler as accurate as they first appear?
The
author John Sladek does not think so.
There are hundreds of Napoleon quatrains in the prophecies, mainly because I think the 19th century French scholars kept going over and over Nostradamus and digging out anything that could be anything to do with Napoleon. But the one I noticed particularly is supposed to have an anagram of Napoleon, which is P-A-U-N-A-Y-L-O-R-O-N. If anybody can make Napoleon out of this, they're a pretty good mystic themselves. In fact, it could be an anagram of just about anything. It could be an anagram of your pal Anon. There are a number of predictions which refer to something or someone called Hister, H-I-S-T-E-R. And this is usually taken by the Nostradamus believers as Hitler. But in fact it was a reference to the Danube River, which was called the Easter River in Nostradamus' time.
It is said in defense of Nostradamus that he made his prophecies deliberately obscure in order to escape the charges of heresy and witchcraft. Moreover, if it is possible to look into the future, everyone in history who has attempted to do so has said that the picture is uncertain and indistinct, as if they are permitted only glimpses of what might be.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Ron Warmoth, modern psychic, often consulted by the business community, explains foretelling the future.
And the true psychic part, or precognitive part, which is being able to sort of see around the bend in the river, as Einstein put it, is relatively rare, in that sense where it's completely without any sort of an input. I do believe that that we can prevent future events. I'm not a fatalist. I happen to believe that we do have free choice, and I feel that being forewarned is being forearmed, which means that if a psychic tells you something that's negative, you can change it.
If the Nostradamus predictions come true in our lifetime, might they help to establish his authenticity? They speak of actions begun by a man in France leading to a crisis in Persia, the land now called Iran. It was indeed in France that the Ayatollah Khomeini lived in exile before returning to take over from the Shah. Erica Cheatham finds this completely convincing.
When I wrote it initially, I said that this particular prediction was rubbish. It's number 70 in Century 1. It talks of a man in a turban who shall sit in France plotting the downfall of the Emperor of Persia. Unbelievable.
Another quatrain can be taken to predict that the Prince of England will marry and that he will be the last prince on the English throne. Lastly, he seems, according to Erica Cheatham, to speak of the San Andreas Fault. A great earthquake. He gives an astrological date, the sun in 20 degrees of Taurus, which means May the 10th. He does not give the year. The overthrow of Ayatollah Khomeini, the last king of England, the eruption of the San Andreas earthquake on May the 10th. If all these happened, would it be just coincidence? One striking aspect of the prophecies of Nostradamus is that where they seem to mean something, they have often been unfulfilled. Hitler saw himself as the conqueror of Europe and Russia. Neither Nostradamus nor any of his astrologers foresaw his downfall. Napoleon believed he would win at Waterloo, as predicted by Nostradamus. He lost.
There's certain quatrains which were taken to mean the French Revolution, and then were taken to mean the Napoleonic Wars, and then were taken to mean the First World War, and then were taken to mean the Second World War. So I don't suppose anything that's that vague really is of any value at all as far as predictive power.
So far, a lot of the things he said have come true, or there has been accuracy there, because I believe he did predict the Second World War. He's predicted also to do with the massacre of the Jewish race. He also predicted a great deal to do with Hitler. He also predicted a lot of our problems we have with Russia, and many different things, and he has been very accurate. I mean, I think it has to speak for itself.
In the end, perhaps most prophecies mean just what the listener intends them to mean. Possibly those rare, true glimpses of the future that some people seem to have are half coincidence and half foresight. Perhaps they owe as much to self-fulfillment as to the supernatural. We cannot be sure.